Hey, welcome to Panakal Podcast for Geeks, the show about good friends hanging out, talking about the things we love. Yes.
Hey.
And this is my co-host Andrew Sides. It's just us today because we don't have a guest. We're going to talk about San Diego because I just got back from there.
Yeah, San
Um,
Diego and then just other random bullshit whenever it comes to
yeah, I
touring.
was telling so what I was telling you earlier was, this is the one part time of the season where it's like all the shows. So it's San Diego, Otakon, and Gen
Gen
Con,
Con
back
and
to
then
back to back.
Dragon Con, right? Like
So
shortly
you
after
get I
that.
get a small break between. So after Gen Con, I get about I think it's 2.5 or 3 weeks for Dragon Con, which
Yeah,
is
you get
nice.
2 weeks it looks like.
Yeah, and this show, like, so I just did San Diego, and Justin is doing Otakon. Now, my first time at Otakon was last year, and Justin did it last year too, mainly because our I don't know if you go to Equilibrium Bags, Morris has like this giant section for his company. So he basically is like, hey, I got the space if you want a booth spot, and I was like, sure, I'll take it. And Justin did
Oh, nice.
fairly well on his own last year, so I was like, hey man, if you want to go back and work the show again, um, obviously I pay him,
Mhm.
but this time he's very confident that he can move a ton more product, so I send him more stuff.
And Otacon's a anime convention, right?
It is an anime convention, and my
Does
work's been
does your
doing
work
really
do
well.
Yeah, I was gonna that was the follow-up question. Like, does your work
It's,
do resonate really well there?
I mean, so I do Anime Central here, and my work did really well at that.
Hmm.
And it's a local show, so like the bonus there is I sleep in my own house, didn't have to pay room and board. I think I went to like one dinner with some friends, but otherwise I
Yeah.
come home to eat every night. So you're saving a ton of money, and then the stuff moved. I mean, we did really well at ACED.
So the local one, did you do the local one first and then you decided to try this one based on the success of the local one?
Yeah, well, because the thing is, I also did this other show called Anime Midwest, I think it was called. Same venue. It's at Rosemont. But apparently the guy running it is a giant piece of crap. Um,
Mhm.
so there's like some weird stuff there. And then the show is it's the only show that I've like packed up and left early. Like it
Oh,
was
wow.
so
Oh,
slow.
yes. No, I
Remember
remember you
that?
telling me about this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I literally was like, well, I mean, I told my friend, I remember my friend Fred was working with me, and I said, look, what we're going to do is we're going to just make the cost back for this booth. And they also put us in the back by like the food stuff. And initially I wasn't worried because I thought people got to stand here to get food. They'll see this work and they'll be like, I'm going to check that out as soon as I have my hot
Yeah.
dog, or whatever. And it didn't go that way. It was just a weirdly slow
It
con. So it's just weird
it
because it's the same
reminds
venue in the same
uh,
city.
it reminds me of when I did SpookyCon when
Yeah.
it was in Tampa that one year. Um like I told you about this before, but for like listeners, the way SpookyCon was set up in Tampa, which I talked to some of our friends beforehand, and overall, across the board, no one had really anything super positive to say about the convention. I think
Sure.
the most positive thing they said was like, "Eh, you'll make back table," which is like, "Oh
Right.
Christ."
Which is like, why am I doing this show if that's the case, right? You might as well stay home.
Exactly, exactly. Usually, there's probably a few red flags to it. Usually, that convention is a local show, like
Sh-
it's local to Orlando. The
Sure.
That year they did in Tampa, however, I believe what happened was is that they dropped the ball in terms of, like, booking the, venue space. So when it came
Mm,
time, it had already been booked up by other stuff. So they're like, "Oh, we gotta move our shit over to Tampa," which is like, that's like an hour and a half away-ish.
sure. So
Maybe
people who are
2
gonna
hours.
come to the local show were like, nope.
Yeah. So we go over there. My dad goes with me, and stuff to help me with that. And yeah, no, the way it had been set up was, imagine like the general floor plan is like a giant U, and then there's like lines in the middle where the space is between the U. Like, so, if you're looking at like a upside down U, there's
Yeah,
like aisles in between it, right? On top of the U, behind another, oops, sorry, I hit my mic. Behind
it's all
another
good.
curtain is another row of tables, and that's where I was sat back with a few other people. And because there's like a visual blocker, you couldn't see, like, if you were looking down the aisles, you could not see that there was another thing beyond that wall.
Oh,
So
nobody
you
knew you were there.
exactly, like, you could just look and be like, quick visual glance, you would have clocked and be like, well, that's clearly the back of the convention. And unless you like walked back there, and even then, because there's only like two, maybe three entry points
Right.
behind that, you could easily have just like glanced right past it. And that's exactly what happened. Barely made table. And on top of that, like Tampa is a weird town in terms of selling, it seems like.
Sure.
Um, I've heard that from a few people, and even
I've.
some other people,
Whoops.
not even regarding like conventions, just like sales in general
Sure.
seem to be very low in Tampa for some reason.
Tampa. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I've ever been to Tampa. Mm.
It's fine.
I've been
I
to like
honestly,
Orlando and I've been to Jacksonville. I'll never go to Jacksonville again.
what were you in Orlando for? What show?
Dis-
MegaCon?
oh no, I'm just visiting. I mean,
Oh,
no, I
okay.
want to do MegaCon, but I get mixed results. Like you were like, it's okay, maybe we're trying, and then some artists were like, don't waste your time. And then I thought,
I
well,
would
if I flew
say,
in and hung out with some of my friends and made some money, it might be worth it. But at the same time, I'm like, how badly do I want to visit Florida for that? You know,
yeah,
like I love you
that's
guys, but I don't love you that much.
no,
you
that's
know,
fair.
like,
Honestly, okay, it's Reed Pop, right?
and Repop is I'm working with them. You know, I do C2E2 here.
Or wait, no, sorry, not Reed
No,
Pop.
it's
I am
Fan
so sorry.
Expo, isn't it?
It's which is Informa.
Yeah, I'm not. I
Yes,
don't. I'm not
sorry,
a
no,
fan
no,
of those
I'm not
guys.
Reed Pop. It's Fan Expo. So, and I remember, didn't you have an issue with Dallas Fan Expo?
Dallas, yeah, man. Fan Expo in Dallas, like I don't know who's running it
MegaCon's the
now,
same
but
way, and the tables are getting more and more expensive. Like
that's the reason I'm having a hard time doing these shows because like C2E2, booth used to be around $1,200, which
you're
is
mostly a vendor at this point, right? Like you mostly
yeah.
do vendor booths
I
at this point.
cannot get into the artist alley at any of these shows. Like I've tried, but I think they see my work and they're like, this guy's worked booths before. We should just put him in a booth. Or I'm not a new artist anymore. So it's like, there's no like the artist alley is technically in theory supposed to be for up and coming artists, right? Like that's where they want you to like feel welcome to the community and then thrive out of it. But there's artists there who have been there
Is that
forever still.
that's interesting. I've never heard that
That's the way
as
they
an
spun it to me
approach.
when I asked them at C2E2 if I can move back into Artist Alley. Because
Oh,
my
okay,
booth
that
this
might be
year
like
was,
C2's nonsense then.
I mean, the booth this year was almost $1,800,
Ooh, yeah,
right?
MegaCon's probably about the same. Like the
that's
last
more than that's
show,
more than like Dragon or Gen Con, mind you, at this
yeah.
point.
Oh,
So
Jesus, really?
I
Well,
mean, at most
so
shows I do, I spend if you see me at a show and if I'm in a 10 by 10, you're talking
right.
average like $900 or so. If you see me in a corner, I probably spend an extra two. Like Planet Comic Con is a great show for me because now I moved out of the corner. I have a corner spot at Planet where it's normally like I think it's like $900, and uh the double wide spot that like Tawny and Andrew and Tyler had this year, I messaged the showrunner and I said, how much is it just to get the two art show spots next to each other for myself? And it was like,
Right.
almost $400 cheaper. And I'm like, I'll just take that. Because
Yeah.
that's one of those shows where I do well, but it's not like, Dragon Con or Gen Con where I'm like, I did really well.
Yeah. What
Those
I mean,
shows you want to spend the
those are
money.
huge shows, and then yeah,
Yeah,
it's more than worth it. Yeah, MegaCon, I can't recommend for that kind of thing because you'd have to travel,
right.
um, unless you want to do like I think that's like a 16-hour drive.
I mean, I would fly in and or take the Amtrak in from here.
Okay, so
That because that is
even
that is an option I haven't thought about, right? I thought about it for like San Diego next year, right? Like what if I took? Here's the thing, because I did the show this like luckily my booth at San Diego is with the Lemons, right? So Ron and Vanessa, they let me store some stuff at their house. Like I don't want to be greedy and be like, here's 16 boxes of crap, bring it to the show for me,
yeah,
So
no,
I left
you just
like
kind of bring a little few
so
things
I
with.
left four like thin. They're like I don't know, 6 inches, 5 inches tall, and the length of a playmat, so 24 inches wide. 6 inches tall. I left about 3 boxes of playmats, 3.5 boxes of playmats, and 8 books with them at the end of the show this time. So they have like roughly 46 of my playmats. I ordered 150. And I sold all but 46 at this show last week.
Oh wow.
Book wise, I went through a box and a half. So books were moving. And I thought for sure that second box would sell, but on Sunday it was like hot and cold. At one point I was like, I just need to hit $200 to break last year's record. And then
Yeah.
I had this epiphany in the middle of the show where I was just like, I haven't counted my cash yet. So I had actually broken that record the day before, but because I didn't count my money yet, and so I broke my record from last year. I said I'll be back this year, but I have not figured out. So I do know for a fact everyone working Artist Alley made a little bit more than I did, and because it's really crowded over there. But I was like, I don't
At
want to.
San Diego?
Yeah, at San Diego, anyone in Artist Alley is almost always going to make more than you will like I'm along the wall. I'm literally on the wall like 100 feet from where they are. It's just
Okay.
nobody notices that there's artists there, right? They're like, oh, artists are here in Artist Alley. And then as they're walking out and going past you, they're like, oh, what's this? You know what I mean?
Huh. Okay.
Um,
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you some more about San Diego because I'm actually very curious about how this year went and stuff.
mhm.
But like real quick, like in terms of MegaCon,
Yeah,
because I was curious, so I looked it up real quick. Yeah. So I can't recommend MegaCon right now.
sure.
When I first started going back to conventions back in 2016, whenever the year was that we met, that's when I
Yeah, it was
first.
like 20, I think it was 2016 or 2017.
Yeah, I think it was 2016.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's like so I started like I did it like I did uh what was that at the Spectrum at the time,
Yep.
LuxCon and then MegaCon. Those are the three I did at the time. At that moment, if I remember right, a 6 foot table was $350 for like an artist alley table, right? At MegaCon.
That's what it used to be. Yeah,
It is now 450.
that's about right. Yep. That's what it
And
is at
then
C2E2 and stuff.
I know like the 10 by 10s are about $1,500.
Yeah.
And it's like,
The
it's
problem is not even this the cost. They
so
they
high.
they keep saying they're bare bones shows and they don't put down like carpeting. I remember when I used to go see two E
That
two and
too.
they put
It's
down like the orange carpeting and stuff, and you're like, this is not. It looks like more professional, but now they're like,
they
it
have
costs extra. They say so they don't want to put it
yeah.
down. San Diego
They
had no
have
carpeting.
that not even in
Not
the
even
vendor area.
well, the we had carpeting inside of our booth, like where we're
Right, but
standing.
not in the aisles
The
themselves.
aisles were bare. The main aisle usually has like this like red carpeting or that goes down or
Yeah.
something. Nothing.
I I mean, I didn't go this past year, so I'm not sure if MegaCon did that or not.
Sure. I
But
feel like
yeah,
shows
like
aren't doing that because it's not cheap, man. It's a cost.
I mean, they're also charging like MegaCon itself was like I think it was like on Friday it's like 70 or $80 for that 1 day ticket. Which is like
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Like
San
I
Diego
remember
was
that was a
sold out. They
sub
said.
60.
Yeah, I mean, I
Oh
used to go see 2E2 for like I want to say it was like 35 or $40,
my
and
God.
that
So about San Diego then. Like
yeah,
the first question I had is because of the actor strike and the writer strike going on.
a ton of stuff was canceled.
I was gonna say ton of stuff was
Yeah.
canceled. So was the vibe different or was it
I
kind
think
of
it
the
was.
same?
It sounded like they were still showing trailers in Hall H, which is because there's this wall right next. We're right inside door G, right?
Gotcha.
You go inside G, we're like right along the wall, and whenever they play a trailer in Hall H over there, you can hear the walls like vibrating. It's so loud, and anyone in Artist Alley probably heard it a lot louder than we did, because they're right next to it. So it sounded like they were still playing trailers, but none of the actors showed up, and
Right.
we all thought, all right, well, so no one's going to stay in there too long there's nobody there to interview. They're just going to trickle into here. The traffic
Yeah.
just felt the same to me. It didn't feel any busier than last year.
Mm.
There were a ton of people. Like normally, I did notice one thing. Normally, people tend to fill up the inside of the venue, and the hallways outside, there are people out there, but you could still like kind of transverse it and walk it. And like there's a bunch of cosplayers and stuff out there. But this year it felt like a lot of people were also hanging out outside, and I don't know why. But like it felt crowded inside and outside. And so like yeah, so I don't know what's up with that, but I did notice that actors weren't there. Some people showed up, I guess. Like I heard Crit Roll had a panel, and then there's a whole article about how they're voice actors, and there's a whole different thing for them, so they're not really affected by
They're in
this.
I believe they're in a different union,
Yeah, they're in a whole
kind of.
different thing, so they're not affected by what's happening. Um, Marvel had like so instead of doing Hall H and doing all their announcements there, Marvel has this booth in the middle aisle, and they did a lot of announcements right there because the crowd kept filling up that area.
Mhm.
DC was over like in the back by where their Warner Brothers stuff was, and again, they didn't do anything special. Like there were years where DC would have like, for example, when like Suicide Squad came out, they had the actors over there signing and hanging out. So when Justice League came out, they had the actors over there. This year, like I don't know what movie's coming out. Flash, I think that's already out. But they had nobody really of importance over there. It was just,
Yeah.
hey, here's all our cool stuff. Now the vibe, like San Diego Comic Con vibe, I felt was still good and alive there. Like people were happy to be there. They were still like, the collectibles were still there. People were still hanging out. Sideshow was not there, which shocked me. Every year I
Really?
look forward to going to the sideshow stuff. It's like a little museum visit for me. Yeah, apparently they're doing their own convention. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Hot Toys was there, which they work with Sideshow. And
Yeah, but that's like an independent manufacturer. Like they're not
well,
like they license
I heard
through
Sideshow bought
that
them.
show. Oh, really?
Apparently they were about to tank, and Sideshow bought them at a low cost. I don't know if this is true or not. What I heard is Hot Toys, only shipped from China, I believe. And then
Yeah, because I
Sideshow
think
now,
they're a China-based
yeah, and I
company.
heard Sideshow bought them, and then now you can only get it through Sideshow because they're about to tank. I don't know if that's true or not. That's what someone was telling me at the show.
Oh.
So I have to do some
Oh.
research on that. I have not had a chance to look that one up. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Uh, I'm like quickly. Actually, I don't know how old this blog is. Oh, this is from 2014. This shit doesn't
Yeah, that
count.
ain't it. But like they were not there. In their place was like this giant like Final Fantasy set, which is kind of cool still. But I really wanted to see the cool statues from Sideshow, and like
Yeah.
usually right next to them is a friend of mine that used to work for Sideshow, David Igo. He's got a company. I don't know if he owns or works. He works for them for sure, called Tweeterhead, and they have like all the Masters of the Universe stuff. And I wanted to see
Hmm.
that. That wasn't there either. Um, I think they were all at the Sideshow show, wherever the heck that was, which I feel like was happening at the same time or it's about to happen.
I was gonna say that's weird that they would try and go at the same time with through San
I
Diego.
think it's like a week. It's like it was either before or after. It's close enough where they were like, we can't do this show and that show.
Right.
We
Right.
can't do our this show and our own show. But I still saw the typical usual like people walking around with bags full of Funkos. Dude, I used to have a Funko
Too many
addiction.
Funkos.
I did not buy any. I saw people walking by like they were like here, like
My
full.
God.
And some of them were like big bags, like down to the ankles, just filled with Funkos. And I was like, did you guys drive here, or how do you plan on getting all those home? It was a
You,
lot, and it's like I get liking Funkos, but where's the line?
you know, we've talked about this off of the podcast before, like Mondo like shutting down their poster side and
Yes,
everything. But since then, everything Mondo produces now is either mainly their
excuse me.
vinyl records, but they also produce limited edition toys.
Yes,
And I wonder now that you say that, like I had it in my head that like Funkos are on its way out, but if people are buying them still in that amount, maybe it is like like maybe it is that Funko looked at it and been like, Mondo, we're gonna make you just guys make toys now. Like
I mean,
posters were like the I guess the least selling thing out of them
right.
because that's the one that got dropped while the other two still exist.
They make. I mean, they so and it's a lottery based system. Well, I heard it wasn't a lottery this year. People could just get in line and wait, and they would let you go through the store and buy they're all exclusives, right?
Oh, for Funko, yeah.
Usually for Funko, it's a lottery. Like you have to see if you get a ticket, you can get in line and you can buy stuff. If you don't get a ticket, get bent. You can't even come in here. Which
Wow.
I mean, it sounds like they changed that and said no lottery. But my guess is because they need to make money. So they're like, here's all the stuff we've got. Come on in and get it. I saw people walking around with tons of stuff, and I was just like, wow, there's a lot of stuff there. But also,
It's
like,
insane to me that it's still so because wasn't that was that earlier this year, that news article where it's like $5 million worth of like Funko
in the
toys were in the
trash,
dump?
yeah.
Yeah. They just
So
threw like $5 million worth of product away.
I mean, my guess is some people just are not buying from them, but also like I feel like if you're really like I got out of it a long time ago because I found myself buying like a Funko per show, or I would
Right.
just see something like I'd be like, oh cool, Colossus, I'm gonna buy that, or like I want the Nightcrawler Funko, but not I don't need it, so I've convinced myself not to buy it. Um,
Yeah.
but like it would be cool to own, but it's usually like $30.
I,
I'm like I'm not spending $30 on
uh,
this thing.
yeah. I guess like if you're buying them at a convention, you're more than just like a casual fan, where like if you're in a
Right.
comic shop or whatever, or like a Barnes and Noble, you'd be like, "Ooh, a Funko," and buy it that way. Whereas like
Mm-hmm.
if you're in the convention, you're actively going there or something, then
You're like, well, you're getting those. That's like the
I
only
guess
place
you're
you can
like
find
one of the
these.
whales then at that point.
Yeah. Well, you want the exclusive, right? You're like, this is the only place you're gonna find those are there or on eBay,
Right.
right? You're not gonna.
Yeah.
You might find them in a comic book store later if somebody bought it there and put it out for sale,
Yeah.
right? You might find it on Entertainment Earth if they're like, hey, we've got. They sometimes have some of the exclusives, right? Because they probably have a licensing deal with them or something.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to
So
think.
the booth traffic was pretty much the same for you and the lemons.
There were moments of like, so it was Miles, and most of the time Ron was doing panels, so we just had space between us. And when Ron was there, he would be illustrating and talking to students. A lot of us, it was cool to watch. Was like he would do like he would sit there and paint. He worked on like this Grogu one day. He did a whole Ahsoka painting and did like this Mandalorian. And people would stop to watch and ask him questions. He had these play mats that he designed for like teaching you
I
color
meant to
theory.
I meant to ask you about the playmats because I was like, do I was debating whether or not asking you to pick me up one. And then
You
I was like,
don't need
I don't know
it.
how well, I was like, I don't know how big of a like
Here's the thing: you
I
and
don't
I are
have a
not
good
gonna.
space for playmats.
You're not actually gonna. It's good for students. I think
Right.
it's probably good for anybody. But my thing is like, I have my playmats like covered in stuff, right? Like I
That
wouldn't
too.
look at it the
My
way
desk is a shithole.
right. There's stuff all over this desk, and my plan is to clean this after dry con. It's messy. I'm not even gonna show it on camera because there's bills on the table right now. But like the playmat's under here, like it would not
Somewhere.
benefit me.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to talk to Ron about this later. If he took this idea and made posters to hang on the wall, I think it would be awesome. He still moved a
Yeah.
bunch of those playmats because if you think about it, if you have a student who's using just a playmat, just a pen, and then the screen, it's perfect. Like as long as if
You look
you're
down and there it
yeah,
is,
if
or
you look
you
down and you
move
have
your
a way
walk on
of
the
like keeping
side
it
and
clean,
there it
it's
is.
perfect. But if you cover your desk like we do, it's not gonna work for us. He moved a bunch of those, like a bunch of. I saw one. Some dude that he trained came by and bought a bunch for his students. His students
Okay.
stopped by and bought a bunch, and he did panels. And when he's done with the panels, people kept stopping by and buying stuff. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So between that he had his own set of traffic there, but Miles and I were on the edges, and Miles was killing it with. We tried to get him on here. He had a little bit of like a he was
Got
feeling a
some con
little
crud.
under the weather the last day and a half or so, and the whole time I was like, he's like, oh my throat hurts a little bit, and he was like, he took a Allegra from me because his sinuses were acting up, and I was like, if you have a fever, I need to know. Like,
Yeah.
if you're just
I
like
mean,
coughing, it's fine. You probably got some con crud. But if you're
I
like,
saw
I'm running a
someone tested
temperature,
positive for COVID at SDC, and then it like just a random
hmm.
pass person or whatever, like someone that bought a ticket.
The thing
I was like,
is,
"Fuck,
so
Jesus."
like I said, I told him if he's running a fever, he's gonna let me know because that means he's probably sick.
Yeah, yeah.
But I saw an article in the somebody sent me an article in the Gen Com Facebook page that some people were reporting that even though they had COVID, they just walked the floor of San Diego. And I was like, And one guy actually said sources, and people laughed at him. I'm like, he's got a point there. Is that just a rumor people are starting, or is
Yeah,
that true?
I might have seen the exact same thing you just saw. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, sure, that's a possibility. I've heard about people who are
It's
like, it's fine.
very likely possibility, knowing that some people in conventions refuse to shower. So it's like, Jesus.
Exactly. Like,
If
it's
you're
it's
not
very
willing to
possible
do
that,
that,
right.
what are you not willing to do?
I mean, it's very possible someone could have been like, oh, I'm not feeling good. I have the flu. I'm just going to go to the floor anyway, and infect everybody because people are dumb. People do that. There was a guy that came by our booth who was like sniffling and kind of coughing, and I took a couple steps back because I was like, "What the fuck's wrong with this guy?" And he was like, "Oh, I've got a little bit of a summer cold." I'm like, "That's not a thing."
Summer
You,
cold.
I was like, "You just made something up." So I'm supposed to be like, "Oh, it's just a summer cold." I was like, "You're either sick or you're not." And he was talking to Ron, and he was like sniffling and stuff, and Ron had shaken his hand. As soon as he walked away, I gave Ron my Purell. I'm like, man, put this in your eyes.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
really.
that dude did not sound good. So my guess is that guy probably, it's hard to tell who, um, like what Miles got. Like Ron also has a little bit of a case of con crud too. I, on the other hand, I'm super exhausted because I had to go through the gamut to get to today. I haven't
Yeah.
felt sick at all. I had a little bit of a sinus headache this morning. I took an Allegra and I cleared it right up. So, it might just be tired mixed with allergies because it's super hot and muggy here and everything's acting weird outside. It's about 92 degrees today. And I was like, you walk in that weather for like
You're
5 minutes.
Florida.
Yeah, it's disgusting outside because I had to go get the kid, and I was just like, I immediately had like this pressure headache because that's what
Yeah.
it felt like. And I felt like if you guys, I was like, feel bad for anyone like Jason who didn't have AC yesterday because I had to sit through that for hours. It's guaranteed I was get sick.
It's so I don't know, like, if you've ever had have you ever had your AC die on you in your house or anything like that?
I've had it die on my in when I used to live in studio apartment,
Okay.
and it was like a window unit, and or
Yeah.
no, it was an HVAC system is what it was. Um, I've had the
I know
window
you've had the
unit.
heating die, right?
So
Well,
I've had the
you've had the
heat. I've
heating
had
die
the
before.
HVAC. So the heating died on us when we were in the other building. The
Right.
studio was in the same building, and the AC there's like a drip tray thing, and it wasn't working right, and the AC just stopped, and I was like, it's getting hot in here.
Oh, okay.
But I've had like a window
So,
unit die on me in the building. I lived in this 2-bedroom apartment, and it was like about
yeah,
108 degrees outside, and the thing died. And my friend and I were like, we don't know shit about air conditioning. We can't fuck with this thing. And the
right.
building maintenance finally came, and it was like a filter issue. I wish I had known that because I would just pull the filter out.
Yeah.
Um,
Even like
so
the drip tray thing, like that's not the end of the world because that is it doing its job. If it
right,
shuts off because of the drip tray, like that's good.
it's like you don't want us to flood your apartment with this.
Exactly. I've had that
Exactly.
happen in this house. Yeah, before we had our current HVAC installed.
Yeah.
But like our HVAC, because these things are like made cheaply nowadays.
Yep.
Like we've had the outside unit, the compressor on it, or the condenser unit. It's basically like it's this cylindrical
Yeah.
piece of equipment that's like yay big,
Right.
yay high, whatever. And that thing can burn out. And what that does is like it I guess it's like I think it's like the electrical it's like the kicker to turn on
Yes.
everything.
What it does is it gives a little extra jolt. It basically is a reservoir of
Yeah.
power, so the main thing doesn't burn out. It's like a jump start.
Yeah,
It jump
exactly.
starts the rest of the system, and it's storing power. I had to have that replaced the first summer we moved in here.
Yeah.
You don't need it's a part you don't need, but it helps your AC not work as hard
Yeah.
in the initial jump.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you right now, you definitely fucking need it in Florida because if you
Oh
don't,
yeah,
then
sure.
Your AC doesn't turn on, and then you're like, "Why is this house like fucking
Right.
85 right now? Hot as anything." No,
Was
it's
that you or
yeah.
me? Did you hear that?
What? Oh, sorry, that might have been me on the desk. If
Oh,
you heard like a rapping noise or something.
no, no, no. I heard like a piano key.
Oh no, that might have been you because I didn't hear anything.
All right, we'll just
Um,
keep going.
yeah, no. I feel bad for Jason. for the heat because
Yeah.
having no AC in Florida is miserable.
I mean, my wife was like, I feel like we're being a little like, I forgot what word she used. It wasn't bougie, but like a little like extra with the way we're using the AC today. And I'm just like, it's like 92 degrees outside.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
it's
it's
too cold in here. I don't want it this cold, but also I have two kids, and I'm like, I don't want it to get too warm. You know.
I we'll go back to San Diego and shows and stuff in a
Yeah.
moment. Once we stop with our dad talk about ACs.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
but like yeah, no, I feel that we used to have, we still have a Nest thermostat, like
Oh
one of the
yes.
smart thermostat thing, and we used to have it on like a schedule of when we were away, it would be higher and all that, to, like try and save energy.
Right.
I think it worked against us actually because then we'd come home and even just to push it down like 2 degrees in the house, the thing would work like like we would be working it overtime to get it just to push down like 2 degrees. And I
So I
want to say
heard.
within like the past like 3 weeks, we started testing like we're just going to keep it at one temperature throughout the whole day. And I think it actually runs less as a result because it doesn't have to like constantly
Right.
push up and down, or
So I
whatever
keep
throughout.
mine at like so I used to keep it low, like 72-ish, but now I keep it
Oh,
at like
okay.
76 throughout the day. It's usually
Yeah.
not 90 fucking degrees outside. It's usually around, it's like 75, like it's usually in the 80s during the summer here. So this last
Usually
2 days,
much more manageable. Yeah.
it's much more manageable, exactly. And so I've been keeping it at like 76 throughout the day and dropping it down a little bit before bedtime and then bringing it back to
Yeah.
stable. Get it cold so we can all go to sleep, then bring it back up. And it seems to be working, except now I feel like I'm like pushing it. So I had a guy here last week to look at it, clean it all out. I do it once a year. And my guy
I
said,
I gotta do that.
I've apparently got a small leak in it somewhere. Now, the unit itself
Uh,
outside is like 2003, I think he said. I forget. It's about 13 years old.
oh, okay,
13 or
so
14. So
it's
it's about time. But I was like,
technically
how?
getting near the end.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
how long do these things last? I thought they were like 20 plus, you know? And he's like, no, man, you're lucky if you get 10 years out of them.
That's the insane part to me because like
It just
they're
sits there for half a
they're
year, right?
expensive. They're
Yeah,
so
dude, it's
expensive.
gonna. So he said he poured some liquid in there. It's gonna like colorize stuff, and he'll figure out where the leak is. Now, if it's in one of the joints, he said we can fix that very easily. But if it's in one of the coils, he's
Then it's
like,
like fuck. You just got to get a new unit.
yes. He said it's gonna cost you almost as much as a new unit, so you might as well put in a couple extra $1,000. The new unit's about $8,000 to $10,000.
Yeah. No,
Which I told him he's coming back like next week, or I think he's coming back the week after Gen Con to look at it, and we'll see. You know, I said I'm not gonna mess around with this. If it's broken, it's gonna get replaced.
yeah.
I don't want any. I don't want to sit in here. Like even the power died here a couple weeks back, and it was like gone for like four
It's
hours, and
miserable.
you
Yeah.
could feel it getting warmer, right? Slowly getting warmer, and I'm just like, don't. And I feel like that's where I feel like we're spoiled as like our bodies are not used to that, and God forbid we don't have power someday. We're gonna be like, well, just half of us are gonna die. You know, like
I mean that yeah. Honestly that ties. It's like it ties into climate change kind of stuff because I distinctly remember when I was younger, we lived more north.
yeah,
Now, like we moved down to Florida when I was still relatively young, but I do remember, and like we visited my family and stuff a lot of times over the years. But I do remember like AC did not run nearly as much
I
during
mean, I
during
remember
the
when I
summer and
was a
all that.
kid, we only had one AC unit. It was in the living room, and you would. My mother-in-law still lives this way. You close
Yeah,
all the kitchen doors closed, the front doors closed, all the windows are sealed. There's an AC
and you
unit
would
in the
just
living room.
keep like the one room
The one
cold.
room
Yeah,
that it's like in Chicago, you have like a dining room, living room attached. They're like right next to each other, and the AC unit's right there, and that whole room is cold. If you were to say, go get a drink from the kitchen," it's like entering like Dante's level 7. It's so
hmm,
fucking hot in that room. And if you try to, and we all slept in the living room. Like we didn't go to our own rooms to sleep at night. We were like couches, floors. Let's go to bed
yeah.
because that's the coldest room in the house. And now we're like central A. The first time I had central AC was like we bought a house in the burbs. You know, when I was just finishing eighth grade. Eighth grade. And I was just
Yeah.
like, what is this magic,
I
you
mean,
know, within this
man,
house?
I told you, like, I can't remember if I told you about this, like, when we went to Italy for, my brother's wedding and stuff, but yeah, Italy was hot. Italy
It,
was really hot, and I feel like this is kind of the thing with a lot of European buildings in general. A lot of them, for the most part, unless it's like a very commercial building, otherwise they don't have AC.
nope, they're designed to let air flow through them.
Right, like crosswinds and all that. It's like, well,
Yes.
fucking doesn't matter if the
Yeah, it
air is
doesn't.
like boiling.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember we were in Rome, and Rome was like, I felt like I was I've been to India, and it wasn't as that hot. Like
Yeah,
it was just like hot. I was like, I don't really want to see the Colosseum today because I feel
no,
like I'm going to die. And into Vatican City, and even like it was just like standing in direct sun the whole time. And then we finally
yeah,
got into the building, and I told my cousins like, I'm gonna take my sweet ass time getting through this thing.
yeah,
So
yeah, oh, definitely. Like, so to get circling it back, then was San Diego super hot or was it a
San Diego, California is probably the nicest part of California. It's like
really?
seven. It's so the hottest it ever got there while we were there was, I would say, it was about 82 one day,
Okay,
and there's like a breeze that's coming off.
it's south of LA, right? But it's like more,
LA is
it's closer
I
to the
feel like it's because
coast.
LA like dips down. I was like talking to I was talking to this lady when I was flying in, because Andrew Thompson was on the same flight as me. So I said, hey, I was holding the seat in the back row, which you're not supposed to do for Southwest, right? And I said, hey, my friend Andrew's on the same flight. It's his first time in San Diego. Can you help me hold this middle seat for him? And she was super chill. And then she was saying, are you going to San Diego? And I said, yeah, I'm working the show. We got to know each other for 10 minutes. I was waiting. And then she said, have you been to LA? I'm like, I hate LA. It's too hot. I'm like, I feel like LA is the armpit of California. I feel like it just dips into a bowl, and then I think the heat just goes in there. And she just kind of smirked at me. I was like, you're from LA, aren't you? And she's like, I am. I'm just like, my bad. But she said, I get it. She's like, the only people that really she's like, do you have a problem with the people from LA? And I said, no, everyone seems chill. But I probably ran into one or two assholes. And she said, the thing is,
That's like
if you're
anyone. Yeah.
well, she said the people in LA are super nice. The people that aren't nice are the people that moved to LA, like from
Mm,
other places. But San Diego, I think, is near the. I can't. I think it's near the coast. There's a body of water over there, so there's cold,
yeah.
like some cool air coming in. Every time I've been there, it's been like you can walk around in jeans and not bake, basically.
Mm,
It's
that's a good
like
feeling.
70s at night, if not 65. And then during the day, we're in the venue most of the day, but I think it peaked at like 80 something, 82 or 84. But we were inside
Still
the
not
whole
bad.
time. Still not
And
bad.
it's dry. It's like, I'm assuming it's dry. It's not humid.
It's not humid at all. I think I'm trying to think if it even rained while we were there. I don't think it even rained while we were there. So
Might not. I don't know if it rains a whole lot in that area, to be
I mean, it's a
honest.
perfect
I
spot
don't
for the
know.
show because people are outside. So if you ever get a chance to go, cosplayers will stand outside the venue in costumes that are ridiculously big. Like you can't, like if you see them inside the venue, like they won't come inside the main floor because like so there's you can look them
It's
up.
like too
This
crowded or
It's just the costumes are huge. There was this guy in a rhino costume, like from Spider Man. Dude, he was
oh,
like 10 feet tall, eight, at least nine, bulky. Maybe the head. And the guys, I looked up a video of him on TikTok. His head is right here in the chest, but the rhino's head is up here. And he
oh
like
wow.
got into costumes inside the hall. And so like people like this will stand outside. The same dude I saw last year was there. This guy in a Gundam, like a mech, which
Oh,
had like wings that open up,
yeah, I think I might have seen that one.
and he just stands outside. And what my point of that is the weather's nice enough for you to like stay in costume and be outside and not drop dead from heat exhaustion. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I mean, I'm sure it's warm in there.
But it's not like I would feel sorry for someone doing that in, like, say, Atlanta.
Yeah, I would never
Or
do that in Atlanta.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was trying to assess like how do these people go to the bathroom? And my only guess is they're wearing adult diapers. Like
They might,
I
yeah, they
I
might,
can't
or
imagine taking all that off to go to the bathroom.
I you know, I would hope if you're putting in that much effort to make something like that, you have a way to like quickly get out of it,
I
or get
mean,
out of it
the rhino suit
relatively.
looked like you can take it apart real quick in the hallway.
Yeah.
Um, I saw him like gearing up one day in the same videos on TikTok. But some of these costumes are that's so. This is the only show where they have the most
Some of them, yeah,
elaborate
like
cosplay I've
do.
ever seen. Like you're like these guys, and it's also probably a mixed bag of them being like part of Hollywood and actors and stuff coming in, right? And or what do you call them? Like uh,
Like influencers or.
not influencers, but practical effect engineers or whatever you
Mm,
want to call them, right? They
yeah.
do stuff for the movies, and they're like, "This is my time to shine. I'm going to make stuff for." Like I saw a father, and I think it was his daughter. So his daughter was dressed as Predator, and she had a cool she had the wrist, where you count down the timer for the explosion.
Yeah.
But she had like automatic claws that came out retracted, and then she had like the lights, and when she pressed the button, you could hear like the clicking sound that the predator
Mm.
makes. And
Oh, that's
she, I mean,
great.
it was a solid costume, and I was like, that's a good costume. So you'll see like a mixed bag of like that guy didn't put as much effort into it, but more than I did. Kudos to him. And then you'll see like pristine. You're like, that person has a lot of time. Like
Yeah.
I saw a shiny Mandalorian with an awesome Bo-Katan, like walking side by side. I did not see as much Star Wars cosplay as I expected this year. Um,
Hmm.
I'm
That
trying to
might be
think.
because I. Oh wait, was season 3 Mandalorian this year?
Yeah,
Oh wow. Okay,
I
I
I
for
mean I
some
did
reason
see a
thought that
couple
was
like
last year.
Robert Pattinson Batman's like with the armor plating.
Oh,
That looked
okay.
cool. I'm trying to think if I saw like what my favorite was. I don't remember seeing one where I was like, "That's badass." That's like last year was the guy in the Gundam suit because I love Gundam.
Yeah.
Um, as we
Hey,
established.
you don't get to like. I'm assuming it's busy enough. You don't get a chance to step away really from the booth
So
outside of like maybe like a bathroom break or something, right?
right, it's usually a bathroom break. We're lucky enough that we're exhibitors, so we can walk the floor during the day. We can walk the
Oh.
floor before doors open. They don't really
Oh, okay.
want you to. They keep saying exhibitors, please return your booths. But we're like, it's an automatic recording that keeps going.
Yeah.
But what we did was this year we had an assistant. Miles' friend Danny helped us out. So what I did was with them is like, as I was walking the floor, when I saw stuff I wanted to buy, I wrote it down, and then during the show I sent him. And here's the thing: they won't
Oh,
they
he
won't
would
let
go out and.
exhibitors they won't let us buy anything till doors open because
Really?
it's only fair that we buy along with the other people. Yeah, even if you're like, hey man, it's not an exclusive; it's just a hoodie. Like I bought this Ahsoka hoodie, and I had to wait till doors open. And it was like 5 minutes before doors open. They wouldn't let me buy it until the doors were officially open. I'm just
You
like,
know,
it's not an exclusive.
I'm willing to like acquiesce that for like say the first day where you say
Right.
like, yeah, I have an unfair advantage because no one has seen this yet. But like by second day, people have seen that shit. Let me buy
Ooh,
it.
that's bright.
At
Sorry,
that
guys.
point, it's effectively the same. You know?
Yeah, I was just like,
That's
and also I understand
that's
where it's
kind of
coming
relatable.
from in the sense because it's also like that might run out and somebody else wants to buy it. But I'm like, it's the same as cash, man. I'm just trying to
It's
buy
the
it.
money's yeah, the money's the money. It's not like
So
you're
I
getting
learned
a
that from
deal of.
last year, and then I learned that the year I had to. It wasn't last year. It was 2019, I think it was when I tried to buy. They used to do the Planeswalker cards. Hasbro used to do the 5 magic cards,
Mhm.
and they won't let you get in line early. So they tell you don't stand in front of the booth. So I would go stand at the Gentle Giant booth, which is directly across the aisle from it, and just take photos and hang out there. And as doors open, I would just get in line. You know, you can't
And
stop me
just like,
from doing
yeah,
that.
slip in, yeah.
Um, and in that scenario, you can only buy one. So you have to send a friend there with a different badge because they scan your badge, so
Oh.
they'll know if you bought one already. So like I'd have to send like I remember that year, um, Andrew Thompson wanted some of the cards and David LaRocca wanted some of the cards, and that was the year my bag got opened up as I was flying back, and they stole them. Somebody stole them out of my bag. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. So I had one set with me that I traveled with. So I basically said, I'm keeping the Jace. You guys can each have one of the other ones.
Yeah.
And after that, that's the next year I was there. When I was there in 2021, no, not 2021. That was 2018. So when I was there in 2019, I basically sent a message out to everyone on Facebook saying, please don't ask me to get you anything at the show. Like, you don't understand how stressful it is to go out there, find the thing, and then on top of that, you have to make sure you have space for it in your luggage. And people still message me and they're like, hey, you think you pick up this thing for me? And it's like, no. And
Mm.
also, if I'm going to buy something on there, it's going to be for me or my kids.
Yeah.
Not, now that's not to say if I saw something like where I'm like if I saw like something specific that I knew like you would like, I would try to make an effort to maybe surprise you with it. But if you were like, hey, pick up this giant Cthulhu statue,
Oh,
and
yeah, no,
it's an
jeez.
exclusive,
That
I'd be like,
yeah.
no. Like, some stuff is fine. If you're like, hey, can you give me a shirt? I'd be like, yeah,
Yeah.
that I can just mash
Something
up
like
into
that,
my
like a
bag.
massive thing, that'd be like, "Look, I'll wire you the money for it, but also, like, here's the shipping costs," because that's
Right.
absurd to bring back it
I
on,
mean,
like, a
I've had people ask for big books. I've had people ask for comic books that cost a lot of money, and I'm willing to do it because they're my friends. But at the same time, it's like they don't. I'm like, you don't understand the stress behind this, like. And also, like you said, it's hard to get away from your booth.
Yeah.
And since we had an assistant this year, like I said, I made notes and I told Danny, I said, hey, if you're going by there, like I really wanted Kevin Eastman's signature on my TMNT posters, but they were like $30 a signature, and I'm like, I'm not spending $90
Oh, wow.
for signatures. And then Ron was like, I can go to his studio and just get those signed for you. I'm like, okay. And then I thought about getting a comic book signed. They had the last Ronin trade with the two Kevin Eastman, and the other writer, and then the two artists or something. And I could have gotten all four of them, but I didn't know about it till the last minute. So I was just like, don't worry about it. I did get a bunch of stuff while I was there, which I can show you guys if you want as part of my. Oh, but so we changed the which I should have said that at the top of the show. Instead of doing the what's the cool new thing you found, we moved it to the end of the show because I think people wanted to see it at
Yeah.
the end. So
Yeah,
what I figured is
we're gonna try it a little bit like this.
so I'll show some of the exclusive stuff I got.
Yeah.
So Super Seven does their Cobra store. Ooh, there it is. So I got a Cobra Commander
Ooh,
coin,
alright.
and it says Cobra Commander, ruler of the world.
I see,
Um,
like a
so
pod.
they open a whole store, and the inside looks like a recruiting thing for the Cobra store, which I think is kind
Right.
of neat. I didn't get to walk it this year. I didn't get to go over there, but I met a guy at the airport, and as we were talking, he had a bag of these, so he gave me one. He must have worked for the store. Um, like I said, I pick up apparel sometimes, so I got my kid an Ahsoka
Oh,
shirt.
that's adorable.
Yeah, I wanted to get her. She wanted this bomber jacket that I got last year, but they were like, we don't make it in that size, and they didn't have any. Like apparently, they have not
Bummer.
restocked it since. Um, I saw David
Might
Peterson
might
there.
be a pretty excuse
I
me,
picked up one
depending
of
on
his
how
new books.
Hey, okay.
Um,
Say depending on
uh,
that bomber jacket, how it looks and stuff, that's probably pretty expensive to
it's a
produce.
$100 jacket. Yeah.
Huh.
TMNT. I picked up these cute little. Ooh,
Hey, that's great.
dude, this was only $30.
Really?
I was like, for $30, I sent Danny over there. I was like, go get one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
totally
they're
worth
super
it.
cool. They're super cool, and it's not like
I
a collector's item or anything. There's a company called Loyal Subjects. They work with Super Seven, I believe.
mhm.
They're just
I
little
used
chibis.
to I used to be a really big TMNT collector of like toys and stuff when I was like younger and all that.
I
As
mean,
an
I
adult,
had all
I
those.
yeah, like as an adult, I've never had a strong pull to them, but I did recently see their Universal Monster lineup. Have you seen those?
Yeah, you like those. We looked through those. Remember?
Yeah, I saw those. Like honestly,
Have you
that
seen the
would
Hot
make it worth
Toys?
it. Which ones exactly?
They have these $40 statues which look like they're like these vinyl statues. I don't know if it's vinyl. They were pretty light. It felt like vinyl but a little heavier maybe.
Hmm.
They were like $40 and there's like these like they look like chibi or a little bigger. And then they have these like elaborate statues that are like $200 and they're like more
Okay.
adult oriented.
I don't
They
think
all look good.
I've seen those. Like one of my friends, for his birthday a while back, his wife got him one of the really large, like, Raphael toys. That's
Okay.
the first live action movie. It's like the Raphael from that live action
Oh
movie,
yeah, I've
the
seen
original
the.
one.
I think David Peterson had those in the background when we interviewed him, didn't he? He had
Yeah,
like
I think
all
so.
four of
I
them
think
back
so.
there.
Yeah, he has the Raphael one because that's his favorite. And he's like,
So I'm
yeah,
trying to find
that's a
like.
really fucking good statue
So
or toy.
I have to find. I'll show you this cool one I've got here. Hang on, 1 second. I have to reach across stuff. My office is a straight mess because I'm going to the shows. So I found these when I was at Origins. These are the Q figs,
Oh, okay.
and somebody bought Leonardo and Michelangelo and didn't buy these two. And I was like, why would you sell it to him without the other two brothers?
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I have to still find those two. But I also so the rest of the stuff I got is um Kraken Dice had
Oh,
this
okay.
gelatinous cube. It's a mystery box, and it comes with like, I mean, it's got a ton of stuff inside of it. And
Oh man.
I bought it two parts. I like the idea of the mystery box. I like this packaging. It's just like a plastic box,
Is
and
it
all their dice were like,
does it have like I can't tell, but it almost looks like it has indentations on the box or something. It doesn't
there's
look
just
like just a
drawings
flat
on
box.
it. It's flat. It's super
Oh, it
flat.
is? Okay.
It's just a plastic like
Oh, gotcha. All right.
but
Yeah,
it's
it must just be the drawings then, because the drawings almost look like there's
yeah,
dimensionality to the box.
but it's got like, so I got like this these cement looking dice. I got like
Okay.
this eyeball die. You can see it moving. See it in there.
Oh, nice. Man,
Um,
I
I
I've
got
got a
like
dice
this
story for you recently.
another gelatinous cube inside of the gelatinous cube.
Hey,
Um,
okay.
keychains, stuff like that. This one, I like what I like about their product. So if I want to talk about product packaging real quick, they have their dice sets in smaller boxes like this. So they're just small plastic boxes that probably fold flat, and then it's very easy to fill up. And I was like, their overhead must be really nice on those. Um,
Yeah.
and then the one collectible I got for myself and Brian was the Super 7 D&D figure.
Wow.
It's the formidable fighter. So the back of it is this guy
Okay. Nice.
here. And I had my friend Wade go and get in line and get these for me because, like you were saying, it's really hard for me to get away from my booth. Like in my head, it's like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go wait in line for an hour for this when I need to work.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how long Wade waited in line, but Brian messaged me for one. And normally I would have said no, but it's Brian, and he's done a lot for me. So I was like, all right, man, let me see. And it's small. I was able to just put it in my backpack, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But
Understandable.
I was trying to think about. I made a list of like anything cool that happened to me while I was there, and I had posted in the group. There was a girl that came to my booth who was like, she was bawling.
Oh, yeah, that was incredibly sweet.
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't know what was happening, so I'm like,
Like,
what's
yeah,
going on?
well, I was gonna say, like, mention it,
Well,
because I know you like
she
post
was
in the
super
group.
teary eyed, and she kept walking up to me, and I said, "Are you all right? What's going on?" She goes, "Your work is just," but she's like, "It's so beautiful, and it's really inspiring, and it's moving me." And she's like, "I don't know how to control these emotions right now," and I was like, "I can't. I don't know what to say to this." Like, I took a step back because I was like, whenever I see people cry, it makes me sad too. But these are happy tears, you know.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah,
just a
like
little bit like,
mutual crier kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, I was just like, what do I say to this? And then she was like, she bought a bunch. She was like, I want to buy. So I was like, want to see a menu? Like I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
So she looked through the book, and then she looked through the menu, and she bought like a couple things. Then she came back like the next day with some of her friends. And then she came back the day after with some of other friends. She's like,
Oh
I
man,
can't stop thinking
that's
about
like
your work.
that's the best kind of person though to come like you
S-
want someone like that, like a super fan that
Yeah.
not only really likes the work but wants to share it and wants to see it
And
succeed.
then like her friends bought stuff, and she had bought like she bought some prints in like a playmat when she
Mm.
made her purchase. And then she had come back and been like, I saw her eyeballing the book, and she wanted the metal, but she was like, it's a little bit, she was like, I already spent money, and I spent all this money here. So I was like, which, I gave her a copy of the book. I'm just like, she's like, I don't know how to get this metal home. So I was just like, yeah. I was like, here, take a copy of this book. And she was so like happy, and I'm just like, it's very rare. I told her that you meet someone who likes your work at this level.
Yeah.
There's people who like your work, and there's people that really like your work, and the people that really like your work, you want them to exist in your paradigm because that's going to make you feel better too, right? So,
Yeah.
I had this exchange with I had this Nightcrawler shirt that I wear. It's pink with Nightcrawler bamfing all around it from
Hmm.
Roosevelt. That's the name of the company.
I think I've seen you with that one
Yeah,
before.
and somebody gifted it to me at C2E2, and so I've been wearing that at shows. So this guy walked by, and he had the same shirt on. He's like, "Hey, man, time for the cool guy shirts or whatever." And he also had an X-Men hat on, and I said, "You're cooler than me. You got the X-Men hat on." And Miles is like, "Actually, you're cooler than him because of your arm, because I've got this on my arm here." And if
Oh, right.
any of our
Yeah.
viewers know what that means. Like, so then the guy was like, "Yeah, you're definitely cooler than me." I'm like, "Nah, man, we're all cool. We all like the X-Men. And it was cool because then him and I were talking about X-Men for like the next like 15 minutes or so, which, as my wife was saying, she's like, this show's perfect for you because it's like you like comic books, you like art, and you like, hanging out with people who like to geek out with you about these things. So like it's like a perfect. It's like if there was a con that's like a perfect convention for me to be at, this is it. I
San
do I
Diego.
make
Yeah.
do I make a ton of money at it? No. Do I network like a maniac and make a ton of friends? Absolutely. So like I went to,
Yeah.
the other thing I wrote on here is private party. There was a private party I was invited to. It's mainly for tabletop gaming. And last year when I went there, I met some people from Crit Roll, which is cool. Um, this year when I went there, they were all there too, but their group looked a little too intimidating for me. I should have stepped in and introduced myself, but I haven't been drinking since last October, so I took an edible and I felt like I was a little too high, and I didn't want to be like, "What's
You didn't want to,
up?"
yeah, you didn't want to like be louder than you thought, kind of deal.
Yeah, I didn't want to like. I wanted to introduce myself, but at the same time, I was like, I asked Miles how do I sound, and he was just like, "You sound fine." I'm like, "That's not gonna help me." And I was like, I don't know what level I was gonna approach him at, so we literally just kind of gave each other the
It'd be like
head
that
nod.
Austin Powers scene where you're like, I can't control the volume of my own voice,
Right.
kind of deal.
Well, I thought about like going over and be like, "Hey, there you are," like, like, do I know you? No, but there you are, like, um, but I did talk to a couple people that were like looking to buy my mats and stuff and have them distributed.
Mm.
And so like I slowly make. That's the thing. At this show, I tell people to just work on networking, work on showing your stuff. If you're like Miles did an amazing job of just showing off his work. The one thing I gave him a hard time about is his prices are too low. He had originals. Oh, let me show you one. I got one. Hang on,
How
I
low
got
are
him.
Miles' originals? Because his originals are great.
He was selling for $100.
Oh no! Wait, well, sorry, like a full his. Oh, Miles, come
Right?
on. $100 is like a black and white pen and ink sketch
Yeah,
or
yeah. We're gonna
drawing
give him a hard time about that
at
later.
like
So
six
this
by
was
eight.
this was 110. I bought it for my kid's room because she loves Spider Gwen. Like someone came back a couple times to look for this, and I saw it, and I was just like, I'm gonna buy it. I didn't see it when he was setting up. I would have bought it immediately if I'd seen it
Uh,
when he was setting up. Um,
Miles, if you're listening, that's like a $300 piece at least.
yeah, I'm not
At
giving you
least.
$200 more, but yes, yes, totally. So like, oh, my camera keeps doing this weird thing. No worries.
You.
Uh,
I was gonna say, is there a way to turn off the autofocus
I
at
think I have
all?
to turn
Or
off the autofocus. Yeah, I have to do that. So what we learned is he had like a bunch of originals out there. And here's the thing though. He is not he's like me, where I'm not like we need to make money. We need to make our expenses back, obviously, right? But
right,
him and I have the same mindset where we're not there to like
not there as a business person
right.
first
We're
necessarily.
there to
Or like,
like you want
or
to you want a healthy dose of like both, right? You don't want to.
yeah,
I always tell this is the same thing I was telling the artists at the show. Stop, because a lot of artists were like, "How much money did you make today? How much money did you make yesterday?" I'm just like, "Look, man,
not
don't put
always a numbers thing in
right.
that
Don't put
regard.
the money first. This show is perfect for building the brand and networking. So like Miles did an amazing job of that, and he had he worked till he figured out through other contacts who the art directors were for specific booths. Like he went to like IDW and Boom and DC and
Mm,
Marvel, and he's already doing some work for Marvel. I'm not allowed to talk about it, I don't think, so I'm not gonna. But he had art directors coming to him at one point and talking to him, which is amazing because I've seen last year was his first year there, and his goal was to meet with reps from Marvel, and he got it done, and he was happy, and he made sales. He made all his expenses back. This year, same thing, man. His now I feel like his originals need to be upped a little bit in cost because they moved really fast, but he wasn't that concerned with it because, like I said, his main goal wasn't make the money. His main goal was build a brand,
right,
which,
right.
and then same for me. Like I moved a lot of stuff, but I was also like trying to make all these like get my name out there, make sure people know who I am. And a lot of repeat fans came to my booth. This is my fourth year in that spot, I think.
Mm.
And I had people who were like, "Oh, I'm so happy to see you again." And I'm just like, "Here's all the." They were like, "What's the new stuff you got?" And I'm like, "Here's all the new stuff I got," and I just moved it. And I took a risk with ordering a lot of playmats, but they moved. And my goal is I need to travel with less product because I think I could still make sales online if I have to, and try to
Yeah.
like network just a little bit more. I felt like I usually have this like drive to network a little harder, and I didn't this round, but I think I'm just tired. Like
It's understandable. Yeah.
yeah, with two kids at home and then coming off of multiple shows, I'm just like I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
So
So actually, that was a question. Like, would you say like roughly this period of time, like July, August, is your
yeah,
worst period of
it's not
convention
the
season?
worst. It's just the busiest, right? Because you have
Yeah, well, I guess that's what I mean by worst, like in terms of like it's packed.
yeah, you have Origins, then you have San
Right.
Diego, and
Right.
then you have
You have Otakon coming up, but you're gonna
Otakon,
have an
yeah,
assistant for that.
Gen Con and Dragon Con. And then I have nothing until LuxCon, right? And LuxCon is more like just a hangout network.
Yeah, I was gonna say Eluxcon's way more of like a networking thing than
Yeah,
a
it's a lot more chill than these other
sales
shows.
thing. Yeah.
Right. And Gen Con and Dragon Con, I still treat it the same way. I tell my assistants the same thing. I was like, don't force the sales. Build on customer relations. Like they should want to buy. I've said this multiple times on the show. People should want to buy your work. Don't force them to buy the work because then you don't have repeat customers. And at some point, like a lot of people stop by my booth in San Diego. Like there's a friend of mine, his name's Barkley. I met him and his brother years ago at like I want to say it was either MightyCon or C2E2. I'm talking like no, it was Indiana Comic Con, I think, years ago. And these two guys that stopped by. They love my fan art. They bought a bunch of it, and then we just became friends. And then now they pop up in like random shows I'm at. They were there at San Diego for the I think it was their first time there last year, and they were just like, "Dude, it's so awesome to see your brand growing." And it's kind of
Yeah.
nice to have people like that in your corner. They
No,
went out of
it's
their way to try to
it's
get
very
my.
encouraging.
They tried multiple times last year to get Kevin Eastman to sign those posters for me, and the line kept getting capped.
Oh,
And he called me to this round. He goes, "Hey man, there's nobody here. You should just run over here real quick and get it signed." And I was just like, "Man, he wants $30. It was free last year, I think."
mm,
And I was like, "He
yeah,
wants $30. So I'm not gonna do it because I don't want to spend the money." And I felt bad because he
yeah,
actually did go up, made the effort to walk by the booth and then give me a heads up. But that's what I'm talking about. These are fans who don't have to go out of their way to do any favors for me. You know.
yeah.
Plus, it's kind of nice. We had a lot of my artist friends were there this year. Artist Alley. I think a lot of people left it, so it opened up avenues for some people I'm normally at conventions with. So I was able to
I
like
normally
hang with
couldn't get
like
in, got in this
yeah.
time around.
So we were all able to go out to dinner on Saturday night and hang out and catch up, which
Yeah,
was nice.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, I guess see, because I know Monster Palooza is like this a lot, where it's a tough show to get into because a lot of people are grandfathered in from like previous years. And all that really
Same.
like kind of the only way you can get into Monster Palooza is if someone drops out for one reason or another. And I'm assuming San Diego's a lot like that.
I think it's the same, and apparently, just there were just openings, man, because there were a lot of new artists. I saw a lot of new artists at Artist Alley. So I don't know if they changed
That's
the
good.
rules, but then from our group, we had like Alex Dos Diaz was there, and Andrew Thompson was there, and
Okay.
Inkwell, Dustin,
Yep.
and Sang, and Beth B Rad, and Naomi Van Duren was in there. These are all names of people that I hang out with this show, so it's kind of nice to like
Yeah.
see more familiar faces and see them building their brands. You know, like they all did well, so
Yeah,
we all
that's
did. We
awesome.
all did well. I mean, can't complain. Um, I'm sure somebody's complaining. Oh, I forgot to show you this too. I got so my friend Jake, who works, he does like he works for like a hobby shop, but one of the things they do is him and his friend have a can't remember what their podcast is called, but they paint minis. So he gave me one of the chibi minis from Marvel United. It's a Nightcrawler. Oh, it's hard to see.
Oh, that's a great little sculpt. I love that.
There you go. Yeah. And then he also gave me I believe this is Spiral, is her name, from X-Men.
That character I'm less familiar with.
Miles and I could not remember at first, and someone kept saying she was called Lady Strife. I'm like, I don't think that's her name. And then John Stanko, who we had on, remember he showed us the statue. He bought that to me.
Mm-hmm. Hey, okay. Yeah, nice.
It survived. It's cool. It's got a little like it's hard to see, but she's got a little like uh
Oh, like a
antenna.
communicator thing
Yeah,
like this? Yeah.
it's so thin. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe you can see like a slash on
Oh,
her
I can
face.
I can see the shadow of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So he told me if it doesn't survive, you can see the bottom is a little jacked up. It's a little wobbly, but it's an
Mhm.
amazing sculpt. I was like, I'm going to definitely paint this thing. Um, yeah, he told me if it breaks, just tell him to bring me a new one. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And I was
Oh, that's
scared. I
awesome.
put it at the top of my bag, and like he had brought it to me in a big box, but I couldn't put the box in the suitcase, so I wrapped
I
it
was
in
gonna
bubble
say
wrap.
you're a braver man than I, because yeah, I probably would have just left it in the box and been like, sod it. I'll figure out a way. Because
No, so I put it at
oh,
the. So I had a carry on, and I basically, all three of those sculpts, I just bubble wrap the hell out of, and I put it at the top. And I was just very careful when I put it in the overhand, so it doesn't like fall. Um,
right, right.
but I'm trying to think if there's anything else about the show I should mention. Um,
Let's see. Canceled. There's a lot of canceled appearances, but the
yeah,
vibe itself was generally the same.
the vibe felt the
Uh,
same. I think people would have been a little bit happier if actors were there because it's always fun to meet. People
was
come out
it
of the.
was it just as crowded, or was it any?
It
Did it
felt it
seem
felt just as crowded. The
okay?
only thing that wasn't happening is that the actors were there. You would see them occasionally walking the floor, so you could be
I did.
like, "Hey,
Yeah,
that's so and so." Like we saw.
I
Um,
did see a couple people that not they didn't exhibit it. They were just walking the floor, but I did see a few people, and I heard I saw some comments from them saying like it felt a little more chill. Not like super
yeah.
chill or anything, but overall it felt a little more chill this year because of I'm assuming because of a lot of the cancellations or whatever. That
I
also
mean, it
might be
didn't
like
feel like
going in and having a bias of it and be like, yeah, like because these things aren't here this year,
right.
I'm thinking that this is feeling this way, you know?
It didn't
Interesting.
feel like um well, I guess this show's over because actors aren't here, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and it didn't feel like people were like, oh, so and so's not here for his meet and greet panel. I'm going home. Like I'm sure somebody did that somewhere. Like I did notice the day one, a bunch of us had issues with our hotels. Like, I'm sorry for that
Mm.
sound, guys. Apparently, that's a reminder going off. But day
If worth anything, it's not at all heard on my end.
okay. Then,
So
then
might
if
maybe
you
it's
didn't
just
hear
on
it, nobody else
your
heard it.
side.
Then
Yeah.
okay. Day one, the couple of the artists I just named, a bunch of artists were in an Airbnb. They canceled on them, so they had to scramble to find a room.
Oh.
Our hotel room, Miles and I went out to get dinner and stuff, and we got back to our hotel around midnight, and they gave away our room. And we were
But
like,
you had already
"Excuse
checked
me?"
in.
Yes, we had already checked in. Well, we checked in mobile. We went straight from our flight. So here's the thing:
Oh, okay. So
what people
you
don't
hadn't
know.
gone to the hotel
Yeah, so what
itself.
people don't know about this show is they think it's Thursday to Sunday, and it is. But there's a
There's
preview
setup
night
day
on
of a thing.
Wednesday setup and what they call a preview night. And
Okay.
preview night is from it's from 6 to 9 or 7 to 9. It was 6 to 9, I believe. And um
Kind
People
of
don't
like
know
how
that.
LuxCon is, like, set up for the main shows on Wednesday, but there's also like a preview night on Wednesday.
Exactly. So we were there. So we landed at like 3, 2. I landed at 1. Miles landed at 2, and we were all there by 3, just scrambling to set up, get it all up and running.
Oh my
And
gosh.
at some point before preview night opened, my play match showed up. I got it all set up, and then we worked it. And then that's why. So then we went to dinner, got back to our hotel. They tell us the room is gone, and I'm like, "What do you mean it's gone?" They're like, "We overbooked," and I'm like, "What do you like? What do you mean you overbooked? What are you, an airline?
Yeah, really.
And then they're
That
like,
that is some airline shenanigans.
"Well,
Like, come
the
on.
thing is, she opened up with, do you want the good news or the bad news first?" And I'm like, "This is not going to go well." And then so Miles is like, "Give us the bad news first." And she said, "The bad news is we gave your room away." And we were like, "Excuse me?" And then she said, "The good news is we got you a room at the Moxie, which is back near the hall." And I thought, okay, it's a
All right.
7-minute walk. And they're like, and then we're like, "Do we just stay there the rest of the time?" And she's like, "Yeah, you can stay there the rest of the time. It's the same rate as this hotel. Fine." And then as we're about
Okay.
to leave, she goes, "I made a mistake. You were only staying there tonight, and you have to come back here tomorrow. The rest of the trip,
Oh,
your room's back." And our hotel
Jesus.
is like 20 minutes away, right? So I'm just like,
Oh
damn
my
it.
God. That's annoying. No.
It's yeah. So we had to haul. So we had to now. She got us an Uber. It's like 12:30. We get to the Moxie at 1, and we're just cashed out. We're super like we
Yeah.
got like I think 4 or 5 hours of sleep. Now we have to work a full day, right? Talking like eight
Mm,
a.m. to 7 p.m. Right? A full day, half awake. Beth's husband, um, who I call his gamer name is Fresh Pancakes. So I call him Fresh Pancakes. But he was making food runs, and he got me cold brew. He made coffee runs, and I just drank
mm.
this giant ass cold brew, and I just kept me wired the rest of the day. But we had to haul all our stuff from the Moxie into that building, and then haul it back to the other hotel. And then after that, it was like whatever, back to the basics. But I said, for next year, I'd like to get a room at the Hilton. There's a Hilton at the end of the strip. I think it costs about $100 more per night. And I'm like, I'm willing to spend five hundred
Closer
dollars.
though, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally across the street.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like
And
really okay. Yeah,
yeah,
like
and
literally
most of like
close.
Beth and her husband were there. Their friend was there. Some of the other artists ended up at another hotel because their Airbnb canceled and they know what else to do. And
Yeah.
that's the problem with Airbnb, man. You can't book it for these big shows because some of those owners are like, oh, like Dragon Con's a prime example. They're like, oh, Dragon Con's in town this week. I'm gonna cancel this room because they're hoping
And
somebody else
raise
books
the
it.
rate or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I always say you got to go
I
to a
see.
hotel, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can't just cancel on you like that. It's against those rules. Also,
Yeah.
I don't know. So like like minor hiccups, and our driver
But overall
was
good show and
overall
stuff.
good show. We had some hiccups with the hotels. We had a problem with our driver. We hired a driver that we hired last year, and this year he
Yeah.
just completely kept dropping the ball. He like didn't
Oh.
pick us. So the last night he didn't pick us up from the venue. He was supposed to pick us up, and I messaged him. He didn't get the call. I went to the Hilton. We said, "F this. We're gonna just have dinner." We had dinner.
Yeah.
Took forever to get our lift back home. Got back home. He still hasn't called me or messaged me. I don't know what the hell happened to this guy. He messages us around 1 o'clock to say he passed out for a nap and he just woke up. And we were like,
Hmm.
we're already at the hotel, man. And then he picked me up for the airport the next day. And then he told Miles he'd come back for him because Miles was leaving later. Never went back for him. Then he had the audacity to ask for a tip. We're like, are you fucking serious?
Oh
I'll
my
give you a
goodness.
tip. Don't fuck over your rides.
Yeah.
But yeah, all around the
Uh,
show, I broke my record from last year, so that's a good sign.
hmm.
That tells me people are interested. Um, I'm
You
hoping
get new
to
signups for the newsletter and everything?
for the San Diego newsletter.
Sorry, like did you get any new signups for your
Oh
newsletter?
yeah, so on my newsletter, I've got over, I think I got about 50 new people on the newsletter, and I got over
Nice.
100 people on Instagram. I don't know if Instagram's gonna help at all, but um,
It's all social
it's better
media
than
is
zero,
all
is what I'm
social
looking at
media
it.
is dead.
Yeah, I mean, I was
Kind of
just
feels like it, even if it isn't.
so I made this new banner that I'm gonna have at Gen Con, and made a QR code, and we linked the QR code. So with Morris and I designed it, and I linked the QR code to my main website, ancientones.net. But then I was like, maybe I should have linked it to my link tree with all the socials. But then I was like, it's probably not a big
No, it's
deal.
just I was gonna say, you have a if I remember right, you have a newsletter sign up on your site, correct?
Yeah, I'm trying to decide if I should move it to the top.
Oh, so yeah, so it's on the bottom right
Because
now?
if you go to my link tree, the first option is the newsletter. So I was thinking on the
Right.
website to solve this problem, I would just take the newsletter from the bottom and put it at the top. Or you know what I have on my site is if it's your first time there, it should drop a thing that says, "Hey, sign up for the newsletter." I
Okay,
believe
yeah,
it
like
does. I need
yeah, I was
somebody
gonna
to
say a
let's just
drop down
test.
kind of thing.
Yeah, I can. I'll
I
test it later. I'm pretty sure that's what it does, which is fine.
yeah, I'm trying to sort out where to put my newsletter
The
on my
pop up,
site.
man, because I got that
Yeah,
from
it's
Eli.
on the
I used
bottom
to.
right now, but
It's on the
yeah,
bottom, and then
making
Eli.
a pop.
You just set up a pop up. So what it does, if you've already visited the site, it won't bring it up anymore. So open it incognito, and you should see. If you open my site incognito, you should see
I
a pop up come up
should
saying
I should see if Squarespace does that or if they make a
it's
way
on
back there.
Squarespace.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, you are
yeah,
in
yeah.
Squarespace.
I
Okay,
don't.
I'll have to ask
I
you
we could talk.
after.
We got to do a whole show about Shopify, but I did not like the layout for
Right.
portfolio on Shopify, and I know a lot of artists like in our group like just Shopify period and use it as a website. Like Tawny does it and Tia does it, but I just I tend
Question
to
then
show.
with the Squarespace thing. Are you I can't remember if you're still on your business plan
Nope,
or
I'm on the
oh,
basic, whatever the very cheapest plan is.
okay. If I can't find it, I'm gonna probably look around either tomorrow or tonight or something. But if I can't find it, I'll hit you up later about it
Yeah,
then to
I
be like,
switched
where the
to
hell does this
seven.
pop
I
up?
switched the whole thing to 7.1, which
Mhm.
is, dude, it's so much nicer.
It's
Like when
nicer.
you try to drag and drop something, you did it already, and that's why I did it.
Yeah. Oh,
I
so
just like
actually,
I like the grid layout. I like
I like
how
it too. The one quibble I have,
yeah.
this is the
You
only quibble
always
I
have a
have.
quibble.
Well, I've got yeah, like I'm a complainer, but
No, that's not what I meant.
no, but like there is the one thing I overall I like what I have with Squarespace on 7.1. I don't
Yeah,
like the fact that I don't remember what your like email sign up and stuff is all through, but like the
Mailchimp.
so okay, so here's the thing. May have to check to see if yours is like this or but like they made it so because I'm on the basic plan and the Mailchimp thing, it's not integrated unless I move up a tier.
No, mine still works. Like
Yours still works.
a bunch of people went to the newsletter, signed up for the newsletter, which is linked to the Mailchimp. So like the account is linked, and I still get messages saying people. What I'll you know what I'm gonna make a note. I'll double check it.
I was gonna say if it is working, you may still be on the business plan,
I hope not.
or at least like whatever the plan is from like up from the very basic
It's
thing.
not.
Because like
So it's not linked to Mailchimp. What it is it's linked in a way where like if someone fills out this form, it sends the info to Mailchimp. Does that make sense?
yes, and that's how it used to be on mine when it was the old uh
I mean, I got a
7.0
bunch of
whatever.
signups this last weekend. I mean, I got messages from Squarespace saying y'all signed up. So I'll check Mailchimp to see if they're
Huh.
actually on the list.
Yeah.
Because that would
Okay.
suck if I need to punch in the 40 or 50 new people. I
Yeah.
so that's the
No.
other thing I realized when I was at the show. So I was clearing out my bag, and I found all these signups
Oh
that I
my
haven't
god.
typed up yet. So I got to do that for Gen Con next week. Um,
Oh. Yeah, so because I see we're running a little over time. Like, so
yeah, we
you
are
have Otacon right now while this
this
show's
week.
running,
Yep,
and then Gen Con is next, and then I
next
think
week.
you get like 2 weeks break or whatever, and then Dragon Con.
Yeah, I think it's about 2.5, and I'll take
Okay.
it. I'm pretty much set for DragonCon. So the way this works now is I have so much stuff sitting in storage for these two shows. It's literally I've been holding on. You've seen my storage spot. I've been holding on to these things for Gen Con and DragonCon. And if all this stuff moves at Gen Con, then the rest is for DragonCon. If doesn't move, then I have a problem. But
Yeah.
in theory, if I sell out everything at Gen Con, then I have to do a minimal refresh order for Dragon Con because I have two spots at Dragon Con, right? Um, but I shouldn't have to do any more reorders. I should be able to just load up for the next show, which means
Mhm.
I can enjoy these 2.5 weeks. With I still have the
Kind
contract
of
that big
relaxed.
yeah I still have work to do for that company that I signed the contract for, but it's not as stressful as like Like literally Monday night, I replaced my playmats order. Last night, what is today? Wednesday. So last night um replaced. I did my prints. I had to keep track of the pack. I had the suitcase and banners I shipped from San Diego to Washington. They delivered my banners. They didn't deliver my suitcase. So I don't know what the fuck the suitcase is
Oh,
yet. Hopefully, it's
okay.
supposed to be there today. And then today, I had to go to storage, count a bin full of metal just to place my metal order. And I was about to order a ton more metal than I needed. And I'm glad I took the count because I only needed to replenish about 100. The metal moves for me at Gen Con. So I'm just like,
Right.
don't skimp on this.
Don't
Like,
skimp on it. Yeah, make sure you have
yeah.
enough.
And then everything else I ordered before San Diego, and it all showed up while I was out of town. And my neighbor, he's such a cool dude. I gotta like get him a gift card or something. He put four big medals in his house, along with I got a acrylic from Bay Photo, so we'll see how it looks.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah.
my contact there, Devin's dad, said the acrylic's a little brittle and it might not survive. So he said, don't sell the acrylic, use it as a display and tell people to order it. You'll order a direct one for them. I'm like, let me see. I'm not even gonna open it till we get
It'll
to Gen
get
Con.
like yeah, it'll get shipped like packaged correctly and
Yeah,
everything.
it's packaged
Makes
really
sense.
well right now, so I'm like, I'll open it at Gen Con, and if it survives, I'll probably sell it there. But
Any more
otherwise,
did you have your skateboards at all at San Diego?
I did not take them to San Diego because I could not figure out an efficient way to travel with them.
Mm.
I
Are you
will
gonna
have them
have
at
them
Gen
at
Con.
okay, yeah, because I'm curious
Um,
to hear about that. Like I'm
so what I've
actually
been
really
doing
curious
was
to
is
hear the
doing
development of that.
pre-orders, and I'm hoping to launch a Kickstarter in probably right before Dragon Con or after Dragon Con for the
Okay.
boards. So what I've been doing
So
at this show is,
relatively soon, more or less. Yeah.
I mean, I'm taking pre-orders for them, and like
Mhm.
at Origins, I sold either 5 or 6,
Okay.
and I took a couple pre-orders at this show too. People were like, "I saw your skateboards." They went to my Instagram. They're like, "Oh, I saw you have these skateboards." I'm like, "If you're interested in one, I'll give you the Kickstarter cost here. You pay for it now, and I ship it out to you when it shows up."
Right.
So people are like, "I'll get on it right now," and
Nice.
so I just have a list of names, which for a Kickstarter that hasn't launched yet. But they were like, "I
That's
don't mind
good.
waiting."
That's
Dude,
good. No,
I
that's
did
good.
this brilliant thing I'll tell you about after the show, and because I don't want to give away all my secrets.
Yeah.
Um, but
Well, in that
our
case,
next guest is,
yeah,
wait,
Jason Engel?
Jason Engel. I was gonna
Right.
say, is there anything you want to talk about for the week as far as anything new?
What
Don't
so
you dare talk
besides
about that video game.
I was gonna say besides Dave the Diver, I no, I actually saw something new. We saw last Friday Evil Dead Rise because it's
How
on.
was that? I heard it was super scary.
Okay, so yes, um, I'm
Okay.
of two minds of it.
Okay.
Let me preface it by saying I really liked the movie. It's a very good horror movie. Um, Great kills and special effects and stuff, everything in it. Really great movie.
Sure.
I think because it's an Evil Dead movie, my bias towards it is colored a little because I want it to be more campy than it
Yeah, I
was.
knew you were gonna say that. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. I heard it's more serious and less campy.
It's more serious. It's not like I liked it a lot more than the other serious Evil Dead movie that came out back in like
The
2014,
reboot
2011.
of the actual movie. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like that one I did not like at all. Like it just
Right.
had the wrong it was serious, but it had like the wrong tone to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I
Um
saw that one. I was just like, it's okay.
this one was like quote unquote serious still. Like it wasn't played for laughs, but I felt like it was pretty inventive in terms of a lot of the special effects and the kills and stuff that were going on within it.
Sure.
So that was really enjoyable for me.
Maybe I'll watch it. I mean,
If
I've
you're
been adding stuff to my October list basically.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you like serious horror movies, sure, that's a good one because it was a very good watch.
Okay. I'm writing it down. Cool. We'll see if I want to watch it.
Yeah,
So tell us where we can find all your information since we're talking about Squarespace and all
uh, yeah, asidesart.com. Just that
that.
sign up for the newsletter or patreon.com/asidesart. Uh,
I
you
gotta get my
consider
Patreon back
signing up
up.
for one there. I mean, I'm sure you just saw it. I just put up a narrated time lapse on
Yep.
there, and I think I'll make that video live to the public in like a week
There you go.
ish, or maybe a little less. But yeah, other than that, those are pretty much the only two places. I'm elsewhere on the internet places, but those are the best places to find me. And then Alan, for you, besides finding you in
Besides
shows,
TikTok,
well, I was
Alan
gonna say
Panakal.
besides shows,
Oh yeah, besides shows, I
because
mean
we could find you in shows, but if we can't find you in shows, where can we find
Alan
you?
Panakal art everywhere, including Blue Sky now, and I'm on Threads. I'm not really using it. I'm not really vibing with Threads. Even
Yeah,
Blue
that's
Sky seems a
understandable.
little iffy. I did figure out how to change my name on Blue Sky from like the AllenPanakal.bluesky.whatever to just
Oh, I
Alan
gotta ask
Panakal
you
art.
about. There's a few Blue Sky things I need to ask you about,
Yeah,
but
I'll walk you through what
assuming
I
I can
did.
just shoot
There's a
you a
way to
text.
like point it to your website to say like so you can have it say andrewsides.com versus the
Right,
Blue
right.
Sky lingo. But yeah, and then so next week our guest will be Jason Engel. We'll probably
Or
do a.
in two
I'm sorry,
weeks
after
rather.
Gen Con. Yeah, yeah, we'll do a
Yeah,
call with him. And then after that, we're going to go bi-weekly. So after that, we'll sort it out.
yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, we have Jason lined up, and then after that, who knows? Free
Who
willing.
knows? We'll just we'll
We'll
just
figure it out.
go with the flow on this one.
Yeah.
I'm at Gen Con, so I'll see if I can. I'm gonna try to talk. Honestly, I'm gonna try to talk to Margaret Weiss again. I try to get her on once, if you know who
Hmm.
she is, and she was like, "We don't really do podcasts, but I think if she remembers me, because her and I have talked a couple times at the show, and she maybe will get on because I feel like it'd be cool to talk to an author like herself,
Yeah. Yeah, no, that'd be
just
neat.
because they have a new Dragonlance book out, and it'd be interesting to be like, I thought you retired, like you made that Dragonlance money. Why'd you come back? Like, um,
Keep pulling
all
me
right,
out.
let me. Yeah, she might have me killed in an alley somewhere.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me take us offline. Thanks everyone who's watching.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thanks for
everyone who
watching.
subscribes. And one last thing. I am slowly converting all the episodes one at a time over to Spotify. So pretty soon you'll see us on there. Oh, you froze.
Oh, okay. I think you
There you
just
are.
froze. Or
Oh,
nope. There, there you
you
are.
froze for a second. Yeah.
I was gonna say you just froze for a second. So I heard
So I said
you're
was I'm
converting everything
slowly
over to
converting
Spotify.
one episode at a time over to Spotify. Um, so hopefully in the next X will also be available audio formats on Spotify. So if
Gotcha.
people can't
Cool.
tune in and watch us, they should be able to listen to us on Spotify too.
Nice.
It's really cool. You just literally just upload and they take care of the rest. So we'll see. It sounds that easy. We'll see. All right, I'm gonna
We'll
take us
see.
offline. Hang on a second. Oh, interesting.